Let me ask you something. When was the last time you laughed without thinking about work? When was the last time you sat in a room full of people and felt completely present instead of somewhere else entirely inside your own head? When was the last time you woke up on a Monday morning and felt anything other than dread? Now here is the harder question. Can you actually remember who you were before this job? Because there is a version of you that existed before the Sunday night anxiety. Before the walking on eggshells. Before you started measuring every word before you spoke it. Before you started apologizing for things that were never your fault. Before you started shrinking yourself to fit inside a space that was never built for someone like you. That person had fire. That person had opinions. That person had plans that had nothing to do with surviving until Friday. And somewhere between the first day you walked into that office and today that person started disappearing. Not all at once. Not dramatically. So quietly and so gradually that you almost did not notice it was happening. Until now. Because if something made you click on this video today, that is not a coincidence. That is the part of you that still remembers who you used to be. Trying to find its way back. Stay with me. Because what we are about to go through is going to change the way you see everything. Before we get into this, if nobody in your life is having honest conversations about what toxic workplaces actually do to people, this channel is where those conversations happen every single week. Hit subscribe right now. Hit the like button because it helps this video reach someone who needs it today. And share this with one person in your life who you know is not okay at work but has not said it out loud yet. Now let us get into the 9 signs. Sign 1. You have stopped talking about your dreams. There was a time when you talked about what you wanted. What you were working toward. What your life was going to look like in 5 years. Now when someone asks you about the future, you give a short answer and change the subject. Not because the dreams are gone. But because somewhere along the way this job taught you that wanting more was naive. That ambition was something to be embarrassed about. That the gap between where you are and where you wanted to be was evidence of failure rather than evidence of a life that still has somewhere to go. When a job silences your dreams, it does not do it loudly. It does it slowly. One dismissed idea at a time. One ignored suggestion at a time. One performance review at a time that told you to be realistic. Sign 2. You apologize for things that are not your fault. Pay attention to how many times a day you say sorry. Sorry for asking a question. Sorry for needing clarification. Sorry for existing in a space and taking up time that your presence apparently cost someone. This did not come from nowhere. This is a learned behavior. And you learned it in a specific place from specific people who responded to your presence as though it was an inconvenience. Chronic apologizing in people who were never apologetic before is one of the clearest psychological signals that a person has been in a diminishing environment long enough for it to rewrite how they see themselves. You were not born apologizing for your existence. You were taught to. Sign 3. You have become suspicious of kindness. When a colleague is unexpectedly nice to you, your first thought is not gratitude. It is, what do they want? When your manager gives you a compliment, your stomach tightens instead of your confidence growing. Because experience has taught you that kindness in this environment is rarely free. It almost always comes before a request. A trap. A setup. This is called hypervigilance. And it develops in people who have been burned enough times in an environment where trust was consistently weaponized against them. The tragedy is that hypervigilance does not stay at work. It follows you home. Into your friendships. Into your relationships. Into every space where someone tries to show you genuine warmth and you cannot fully receive it because you are always waiting for the catch. I need to pause here because sign 3 is one that people rarely talk about but almost everyone in a toxic job experiences. Drop a comment right now. Has your job made you suspicious of people outside of work too? Has it followed you home into your relationships? Tell me below, because you are not the only one, and this comments section is the one place where you do not have to pretend everything is fine. Sign 4. You have stopped setting boundaries because you learned they would not be respected anyway. You used to say no. Not rudely. Not aggressively. But you used to have a sense of where your time ended and where someone else's demands began. Now you say yes to everything. You stay late without being asked. You take on work that is not yours. You answer messages at 10 o'clock at night and feel guilty if you do not respond quickly enough. This is not dedication. This is what psychologists call learned helplessness. The repeated experience of trying to maintain a boundary and having it ignored or punished until eventually you stop trying altogether. Your boundaries did not disappear because you became a pushover. They disappeared because you were in an environment that treated every boundary you set as a problem to be managed rather than a limit to be respected. Sign 5. Your body is telling you what your mouth refuses to say. Headaches that appear every Sunday night. A tight chest on Monday mornings. A stomach that knots the moment your phone shows a work notification. Shoulders that live somewhere near your ears. A jaw that aches from being clenched through 8 hours of performed composure every single day. Your body is not malfunctioning. Your body is communicating. Medical researchers studying workplace stress have found that chronic exposure to toxic work environments produces measurable physical changes in the body. Elevated inflammation markers. Disrupted sleep architecture. Suppressed immune function. Your body absorbed everything your professionalism refused to show. And now it is showing it the only way it knows how. Sign 6. You have become someone who expects to be disappointed. You used to get excited about things. A new project. A positive meeting. A conversation that seemed to be going somewhere good. Now, before anything good has a chance to develop, you are already preparing for the moment it falls apart. You do not do this consciously. You do not even realize you are doing it. But you have been disappointed so many times inside this environment that your mind has started protecting you by refusing to hope in the first place. Psychologists call this defensive pessimism. And while it starts as a coping mechanism inside the toxic workplace, it eventually becomes the lens through which you see everything. Your relationships. Your opportunities. Your own potential. The job did not just make you cynical at work. It made you cynical about life. If you are watching this and recognizing yourself in these signs, please share this video right now. Not for this channel. For the people in your life who are going through exactly this and do not have the words for it yet. One share from you today could be the thing that helps someone finally understand what has been happening to them. Share it now and then let us keep going, because the next signs are the ones people talk about the least. Sign 7. You have stopped investing in yourself. You used to read, learn, take courses, have conversations that stretched your thinking. You were someone who was always growing towards something. Now, after a full day of being drained by a job that takes everything and returns very little, you have nothing left for growth. You come home and you decompress. You scroll. You watch things that require nothing from you. Not because you are lazy, but because you are depleted. And the cruelest thing about this sign is that as you stop investing in yourself, you start to fall behind professionally. And as you fall behind, you become more dependent on the very job that is depleting you. Because you no longer have the confidence or the current skills to believe you could survive anywhere else. The toxic job is not just changing you. It is trapping you inside the changed version of yourself. Sign 8. The people who love you have noticed something is different. Your partner. Your parent. Your oldest friend. Someone who has known you long enough to remember the version of you that existed before. They have said something. Maybe directly. Maybe gently. Maybe just with a look that you pretended not to notice. They have said you seem tired. You seem distant. You are not yourself lately. You used to be so passionate. What happened to that thing you used to talk about all the time? And you brushed it off. Because admitting that they are right means admitting that something is seriously wrong. And if you admit that, then you have to decide what to do about it. But the people who love you are not imagining it. They are seeing what you have learned not to see in yourself. And when the people closest to you start noticing the change, that is not a minor sign. That is a serious one. Sign 9. You no longer recognize the person looking back at you in the mirror. Not physically. Something behind the eyes. There is a flatness there that was not there before. A guardedness. A tiredness that sleep does not fix. Like somewhere between who you were and who you have had to become in order to survive this job, a light dimmed. Slowly. Quietly. Until one day you looked up and it was just gone. This is the final sign because it is the deepest one. It is what happens when all 8 signs before it go unaddressed for long enough. When you spend enough time suppressing yourself, apologizing for yourself, shrinking yourself and surviving instead of living, eventually the person you were before starts to feel like a stranger. And the version of you that this job built anxious, guarded, apologetic, depleted and suspicious starts to feel like the real you. It is not. That is not who you are. That is who this job made you. And those are 2 completely different things. So let me bring all 9 signs together. You stopped talking about your dreams. You started apologizing for things that were never your fault. You became suspicious of kindness. You stopped setting boundaries. Your body started speaking what your mouth refused to say. You began expecting disappointment before it arrived. You stopped investing in yourself. The people who love you noticed before you did. And you no longer fully recognize yourself. None of this happened because you are weak. None of it happened because you are not good enough. All of it happened because you were a whole, feeling, ambitious human being placed inside an environment that was designed to produce compliance, not growth. Survival, not thriving. Endurance, not fulfillment. And the most important thing I want you to take from this video is this. Recognizing the change is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of the return. The person you were before this job is not gone. They are waiting. On the other side of a decision that only you can make. Before you go, I want you to do 3 things. First, drop a comment below telling me which of the 9 signs hit you the hardest. Just the number is enough if that is all you can manage right now. Second, if this video just gave you language for something you have been carrying silently, please like it so the algorithm shows it to someone else who needs it today. Third, share it. Send it to the one person in your life who you know is not okay at work but has not said it yet. This video might give them the permission to finally say it out loud. And subscribe to MindVault. Because every single week we come back here and we tell the truth about what really happens inside workplaces and what it does to the people inside them. Next time we are going into something that is going to shake you. We are talking about why the hardest worker in every office is almost always the lowest paid. And why that is not an accident. I will see you then.